Yeah, welcome to Nathan's Armory. I'll be with you shortly. What's that? You want to know about rumors around this area? Let me see. Well, I have heard of a pale orc around these areas. He goes by the name of Shagrath the Pale. Between you and me, the rumors are that is not an orc. It is a human. A human that was raised by orcs. He is now an orc war chief. A very dangerous one. A witch doctor. Now they say he is in possession of a nasty hex. You want to know where to find him? Follow the trail of all the pale corpses.
And Red Steel being the title of the campaign setting, it's actually one of the most important metals in the whole campaign setting. It is used to make magic, not magic, you can enchant them, but it's made to use weapons and armor. Now what's very cool about Red Steel weapons is that they can hit creatures that can only be hit and damaged by magical and enchanted weapons, and can also deal damage to creatures that are only damaged by cold iron weapons and silver weapons. So it's almost like a catch-all metal, which is really good. Then you have this thing called Crimson Essence, which it's like a concoction. Well, it is a concoction. You drink it and it gives you a legacy for a limited amount of time, which is Crimson Essence is what the inheritors use to learn permanently their additional legacies. Now when you're gonna learn a legacy, you actually have a table. You roll a 1d20 to determine what legacy you learn. It also has to do where the area in the Savage Coast where you're in when you learn your legacy, because that actually also determine what legacy you can learn. Okay, so I want to read a part here which honestly surprised me a lot, because nowadays you can't get away with this bad of writing. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so the way the bleaching of Cinnabril happens is as follows. Whenever Cinnabril is worn next to the skin, its magical properties become depleted. Okay. 1 ounce of the magical material will deplete in a week, 7 days. Okay, I already said that. So if an amulet weighing 8 ounces is worn, for instance, its power drains in 8 weeks. It is the amount worn that is important rather than the number of items worn. A character wearing 2 bracelets of Cinnabril, each weighing 8 ounces, is protected for 16 weeks. Makes sense. Both items are depleted equally, however. So if a person removes the bracelet after wearing them together for 8 weeks, each would be good for 4 weeks alone. Which makes sense, but then you get to this part. If this seems complicated mathematically, well, it does to the people of the Savage Coast as well. And I just love that part. If you don't understand the math, don't worry. The people in the fictitious world of fantasy and Red Steel don't understand the math either. So they're basically telling you, it's a game. Forget about the math. It's just what it is. I just reading that, I'm like, the balls on these guys, because you can't get away, as a game designer, you can't get away with that anymore. Because a lot of people really want the explanations, and a lot of people want the fluff there. Which I understand, but because nowadays either you make it completely ambiguous or you make it completely mechanical. You don't combine those two, and that's what they're doing there. So it's a thing that the book has that I found very, very, very peculiar. Anyways, going back to Cinnabril, some people actually war over getting Cinnabril because it's a very important metal to ward off the red curse. So there are veins of Cinnabril scattered across the Savage Coast. However, what is very interesting about Cinnabril is if you mine at a Cinnabril vein and you don't deplete it, with time, the Cinnabril is gonna grow back. So the veins are self-replenishing. However, they replenish at a very, very slow rate. So if they're not careful, you can actually deplete a vein completely of Cinnabril. And the reason that's like that, there's a reason for this. There is. Because Cinnabril is magical to a certain extent. If you cast Detect Magic, it will detect as magical. If there's vermeil in the air, the red dust, that's also magical. In those places, since the dust is everywhere, you cannot cast Detect Magic. It's not going to detect anything because magic is everywhere. At least that's what the book says. Now there's a very interesting part, however, about this whole Cinnabril issue. Okay, so the Cinnabril was actually created in ancient time by the Nithians. And the Nithians is the very ancient race of people that the gods deleted from history. So it's actually a man-made metal. Now, if you're afflicted by the red curse, and I want to go ahead and read a couple of, because the spells aren't that bad. The afflictions, however, are. Okay, so let's one of the basic ones that you will want, because why not? Ball of Fire. The ability score connected to this one is Strength. So if you learn Ball of Fire, your strength is gonna go down unless you have Cinnabril. You throw a small flaming ball of fire from your hands and it deals fire damage, capping at 5d6. Not bad. Remember, this is second edition, so 5d6 isn't really that bad. Then the detriment. The skin of the character is red and hot to the touch. Okay. He or she sweats constantly. Yeah. And must drink twice as much water as normal members of the same race. In addition, the character's clothing smolders and paper occasionally bursts into flame when the character holds it. The irises of the character's eyes usually turn red. Which, yeah, it's kind of annoying. There's one that is for flying. Let's check this out. You can fly for a couple of rounds a day. Well, per use. The detriment for the fly ability is the afflicted has permanent wings of some type, but they are useless except when the legacy is activated. Some afflicted have flattered bodies instead of wings, so they are only 2 inches thick from front to back. So you can either have useless wings or you are 2 inches thick and you float. The red curse is weird. Gaseous form. Check this one out. The ability score is Constitution. The ability score for Fly was Wisdom, by the way, if you wanted to know. Okay, so the detriment of gaseous form. The afflicted's flesh becomes puffy and feels soft to the touch. That is disgusting. This affects most of the character's body, so the face becomes misshapen and the character appears to have gained a lot of weight. The flesh of some afflicted becomes transparent as well. Also, the characters breathes out wisps of fog and sweats them from the pores. Ew! That is disgusting. Anyways, something you can do, however, is you leave the Savage Coast. Because remember, the Savage Coast is not a whole world, it's just one part that you can put in any campaign setting. So if you're tired of all the warring, if you're tired of the cat people, if you're tired of the dog people, you can just leave. You can just go and leave that place. Which is fine. If you do, however, you cannot keep your legacies. You do get back your lost ability scores at 1 point per day if you didn't have any Cinebril on. But check what happens to your legacies. Okay, after a while, after a couple of days, you roll randomly. All your legacies are gonna activate at the same time. Well, not at the same time. They're just gonna activate. They're gonna activate automatically, one at a time, and they're gonna deplete all of its uses. But one right after the other. If you had sight to see invisibility, you get that turned on. If you have flight, after the invisibility sight goes away, your flight goes on. That is if you were an inheritor. If you weren't an inheritor, only the one activates. But it just activates. It depletes itself, and after that you have to roll for System Shock. If you know 2nd edition, you know what System Shock is, and it is when there's something big that happens to your body. You have to roll, and usually it spells death or some other really bad effect. In this case, if you fail the System Shock check, you are reduced to 1 HP and are rendered helpless and unconscious for 1d4 hours. Make sure your friends are around. And deities forbid that all of your friends fail their System Shock check at the same time and you're all rendered unconscious, because at that point, honestly, the chances of a TPK are very high. I'm not a fan, but if 4 people or 5 people just fall unconscious in the middle of nowhere, something's gotta give, because nothing happening sounds a little bit boring. Yeah. After that, you have an equipment chapter. You have a magic chapter. There are a couple of more magic spells in this book. What else do we have here? Yeah, I'm using my cheat sheets. It gives you a list of the different immortals that are in the campaign setting. It gives you their name. There's one that I found very peculiar that is called Demogorgon. Now, Demogorgon, you know that it's a demon lord from the Abyss, but not in the Savage Coast, however. It's also worshipped as Goron by some other people, and it's female. And even though it's named Demogorgon, it's not the Demogorgon from the Abyss. It's some other chick. With that's mostly the gist of the campaign setting and of the rules. And honestly, I find no reason this couldn't have been one book that came in the box set. Because I know I'm thinking very modern, and that if you have a setting, you just put it in one book, which I would love to see this just in one book, and a reprinting of this would be really cool. Converting the rules of this into Pathfinder is actually very simple. And I might be coerced to actually do that now that I think about it. And I think I will. Yeah, the inheritors can be a feed and... Okay, I'm getting too many ideas. I'm probably gonna be working on that eventually. Okay, that's awesome. I'm happy. I have ideas for more material for my blog. Anyways, I don't know if I can publish it. Probably I can. It's always free. Put a couple of addendums in it. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm sorry, guys. So yeah, I see no reason that couldn't be just one book. I know that every single box set always has a couple of books inside of it. That's why they were box sets. And this box set actually has 3 different maps, which is just a map of the area. Pretty maps, you know, but they're really big. They're poster sized. It's 3 of them. You put them together and it gives you the Savage Coast area, which is fine. It's fine, you know, if you're playing with your players. if you're running a game with your players and you know you're running in the Savage Coast setting, you can open the maps and you can tell them you're there, you can move over there, which is fine. The campaign setting itself I like a lot because, again, since it has this Spaniard flair to it, it's really cool. I like it. I like it a lot. It has that sword and sorcery, but also swashbuckling flair to it. And you have the whole red steel, you have the red curse thing that, sure, Cinnabril is kind of expensive, but it gives you a really good flavor, it gives you really cool abilities. So everybody eventually ends up becoming a Gish, especially if you're an inheritor. And honestly, no reason not to be an inheritor to attain additional legacies. Because if you're an inheritor, you're basically the red curse police. You know, you're the legacy police. You make sure everybody's in the up and up, and you report people that are being tainted, people that are going crazy because of the red curse, because some people can. The red steel campaign setting reminds me a lot of the Eberron campaign setting, in the sense that monstrous races tend to be more widely accepted, and the fact that, you know, the Eberron campaign setting, you have the dragon marks, which, you know, only certain races can have them, and the dragon mark that you possess by the race that you belong to, determines the spell-like abilities that you get. And this one is similar because depending on the place of your place of birth and the place that you got your curse, can also determine the legacy you get, and the fact that the whole red curse thing stems a little bit from a dragon's curse, and you have the dragon mark houses and everyone with the dragon legacy. Sorry, not the dragon legacy, that's something else completely. The draconic prophecy. So you can see there's a couple of parallels. You don't have red steel houses or red curse houses or Cinnabril houses fighting amongst each other, but you do have some kingdoms fighting over the Cinnabril and the red steel. The book also ends giving you a more deep explanation about the different races, the new races the book has, and also gives you a couple of adventure ideas, which is always welcome because adventure ideas fit into almost every single setting. However, the adventure ideas for Red Steel do only fit with the Red Steel setting because they all revolve around Cinnabril or Vermeil or Red Steel itself. It is a setting that I wish I want to play eventually, because the setting is really cool, especially working with the whole Vermeil and stuff like that. The problem is that the book doesn't give you a specific time to how you get cursed or when you get cursed. Nowadays you would have to roll a fortitude save or a will save not to get cursed, but for this one you just get cursed, which honestly, if I were to write down if I were to write an updated version, I would also have it that you just get cursed, unless I make a subsystem where I would have a fortitude save. But that's, again, that's me rambling, and something that I'm gonna offer in a PDF eventually. With that, I am very happy I got this book, not this book, this box set, because it's a good setting. It's actually a really well-known setting for the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition. With that said, that's the end of this review. I hope you all enjoyed this blast to the past to 1993 or 1994. At this point, I forget again. But I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoyed this, and join me next time for whatever other thing I'm gonna review. Haven't chosen yet. I have a couple of books there. Well, till then, everybody, remember rule number 1: always have fun. If you're in the Red Steel campaign setting, rule number 2, get Cinnabril. A lot of it. You come to think of it, Cinnabril kind of sounds like cinnamon, Cinnabril, cinnamon, red, spicy. Whew, man, good review. Jim, can you send us back home now?
And I made it! It's not the Tect anymore, it's Tacto! Tactical Achromatic Convenient Transporter Overdrive! And I'll send us back in 3, 2, 1, go!
That was it. And here we go.
Haha! Not this time, here!
Oh, great! We're finally back, and it's a good thing too. I hear there are a lot of new rumors circulating around the tavern.
What rumors are you talking about?
Well, Orcus, the demon prince of the undead, actually released the Book of Vile Darkness on the material plane. I wonder who's going to be the poor sap that's going to end up with it.
Oh great, let me guess. I take a look at the side and...
Of course it's going to be next to me.